Okay, good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. This, we're going to be learning the Friday Seder called Pesacheinu Megadim. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to be at a Shabbos with Harav David Cohen, the Rav of Gvul Yavitz, and I took the opportunity to ask. I said, I have a theory that there must be a connection between the beginning and end of a Parsha, because I said, if there's a rule, Tosfos brings this rule, and Rav David Cohen says this is an opinion in Masechta Pesachim, that when it comes to brachos, you need that the psicha should be me'ein chasima. In other words, when a bracha is formulated, it should begin and end in a similar theme. The way a bracha begins should be similar to the way the bracha ends, and vice versa. In that case, since we know called the tikkun rabbanon kein d'oraisa tikkun, we know whatever the rabbanon enact is similar to the Torah, then just like in a bracha, it should begin and end in the same way. So when it comes to Torah also, the beginning and end of a parsha should be similar. I said, can we establish this as a rule in learning Chumash? He said, well, have you found connections between the beginning and end of the parsha? I said, well, we're up to, so far, Mishpatim. I said this a couple weeks ago, and I think so far we found a connection every week. He said, okay, interesting. So I said, so could we establish that there's a methodology of drush, that there has to be a connection between the beginning and end of the parsha? He said, no. I said, no? He said, it's not drush, it's pshat. If you find connections between the beginning and the end, this is not an approach of drush, this is pshat. So I'd like to share with you 3 humble offerings on Parshas Teruma. The Parsha begins, V'yikchu li Teruma. And the Baal Turim says, make for me a Makom Mikdash, 1/50th of the Har Habayis. Like Teruma, we know Teruma is 1/50th. So make a Makom on the Har Habayis of 1/50th, meaning 1/50th of the Har Habayis. The Har Habayis was 500 by 500 amos. That's the Mishnah Aleph of Parak Beis Masechta Midos. And the Makom HaChatzer was 100 by 50. So 500 by 500 is 25,000, and the Chatzer, Makom Mechatzer, was 100 by 50, which is 1/50th of 500 by 500. And that the Baal HaTurim therefore says the pshat of V'yikchu li Teruma is make a Makom Teruma, make 1/50th of the Har Habayis. That's referring to the Chatzer. And indeed, if you look at the very last subject matter of Parshas Teruma, it speaks about the Chatzer. Parak Chav Zayin, Pasuk Tes, Ve'asisa es Chatzar HaMishkan, Oirech HaChatzer, Meya Ba'ama, Ve'roichav Chamishim B'Chamishim. And there again, at the end of the Parsha, the Baal Turim points out that the measurement of the Chatzer was 1/50th of the Har Habayis. So the opening message of Parshas Teruma, V'yikchu li Teruma, make for me a Teruma, make for me a Makom of 1/50th, that is, in fact, the subject matter at the very end of the Parsha, where the Parsha ends speaking about the Chatzer. Here is another amazing connection. Parshas Teruma is the very first Parsha that begins with the pasuk, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe Lemar. This is a pasuk that appears 70 times in the Chumash. Teruma is the first Parsha that begins with these words, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe Lemar. The Ramban in Va'era says, what does the pasuk mean? Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe Lemar. Just say Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe, or Hashem, or just say Lemar without Vayidaber. Why the Vayidaber and the Lemar? And the Ramban explains the meaning of this pasuk is conveying one of the fundamental pieces of information about the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. The word Lemar, the Ramban says, means birur ha'inyan. Vayidaber Hashem be'amira gemura, a outright statement, not a cloudy statement, not beremez. Therefore, when Lavan comes to Yaakov, Lavan tells Yaakov, Emesh Amar Hashem Elai Lemar. Yesterday God said to me, saying, meaning clearly, without any hemming and hawing, without any ambiguity. Otherwise, Lavan says, I may have harmed you, but Hashem made it absolutely clear, I cannot. Or Vayoimru B'nai Yisrael Moshe Lemar. They said to him explicitly, they cried out to him. Lemar means explicitly. In other words, The word Lemar is conveying the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu, his greatness of Chachma, Nevuah, that Hashem spoke to him explicitly. By other Nevi'im, Hashem spoke to them, Kayamar Hashem. By Moshe, Zeh Hadavar. The Ramban explains that the reason why the Torah reiterates this expression, Lemar, so many times, is to show the greatness, the superiority of the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu, that Hashem spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu, Peh el Peh v'loi b'chidais. Now, friends, that means the Parsha begins, Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar. It's speaking about the greatness of the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu. And how does the Parsha end? It's really incredible. The Parsha ends, L'chol klei hamishkan, b'chol avoidasai, b'chol yisei doisav, b'chol yistois hechatzer nechoshes. And then the next Parsha begins with the words, Va'ata tetzaveh. Chasam Sofer in Torah's Moshe HaShalem on Tetzaveh says that the last word of Teruma is nechoshes. The Yalkut Ruveni says the word nechoshes, juxtaposed to Va'ata, is Moshe Rabbeinu was the Gilgal of Noach and Sheis. Nechoshes, Noach, Sheis, Ve'ata, and Moshe. Well, the Chassam Sofer adds to that. In the Gemara Megillah Daf Yud Gimel, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu was Av b'Chachma, Av b'Nevuah, Av b'Torah. The Chassam Sofer says, well, if he was great in wisdom, in prophecy, in Torah, Shas should have also said he was an Av b'Shalom. After all, he made peace between Klal Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says Chassam Sofer, just he wasn't Avi HaShalom. Aaron was Roidev Shalom more than him, but he was still great in Shalom. Says Chassam Sofer, Nechoshes, Navi, Chacham, Shalom, Torah, Ve'ata. The greatness of Moshe was Nechoshes. He was Navi, he was Chacham, Shalom, Torah. And in this sense, we could then say that the Parsha ends similar to the way it began. It ended off Moshe's greatness in Nevuah, in Chachma, and in Torah, and that's exactly how the Parsha began. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar, which indicates the greatness of wisdom of Moshe, the greatness of Moshe's Torah, the greatness of Moshe's prophecy, that it was Peh el Peh. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar articulates the wisdom, Chachma, Nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu. And that's how the Torah ends, the Parsha, Nechoshes, Nevuah, Chachma, Torah. And what about Shalom? Well, we could add, Rabbeinu B'chaya explains that the words Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Lemar indicates the confluence and the combination of Torah Shebachsav and Torah Shebal Peh. Vayidaber is a Torah Shebachsav. Lemar is the Torah Shebal Peh. And Moshe Rabbeinu was able to combine the two. One time I had the opportunity to visit Rav David Kohen, the Rosh Hashiva of Chevron, and he, using this Rabbeinu B'chaya, says that's what it means. Magen Avos Bidvarai. God is the shield of our forefathers, that he promised in the Torah Shebachsav. Anoichi Magen Lach. Mechaye Mesim, but Tchias HaMesim is Torah Shebal Peh. B'ma'amarai, Amira is Torah Shebal Peh. So Moshe Rabbeinu was also great in being mashlim, making shalom between the Torah Shebachsav and the Torah Shebal Peh. Here's one further thought, connecting the beginning and end of the Parsha. You know, the Parsha ends, L'chol klei hamishkan, b'chol avoidasai, v'chol yisei doisav, v'chol yistois hachatzer nechoshes. All the kelim of the Mishkan have to be copper. Rashi explains, what does it mean, all the kelim of the Mishkan? Even the hammers with which you build the Mishkan have to be distinguished and honorable and expensive nechoshes. You can't just make the Mishkan and its kelim nechoshes. Even the tools used to build the Mishkan, you have to make out of nechoshes. Now, why would that be? Do you have to hammer in the nails of your sukkah with expensive kelim? After all, building a sukkah is not a mitzvah, it's only a hechsher mitzvah. And yet when it comes to the Mishkan, it's not enough the Mishkan and its kelim have to be nechoshes and zahav and kesef. The tools used also have to be nechoshes. Why is that? Because the mitzvah is not only to have a Mishkan, the mitzvah is to build the Mishkan itself. And that's why, even though normally we say that do mitzvahs shaloi lishma, shemitoich shaloi lishma ba lishma. But when it comes to the building of the Mishkan, the building of it has to be with the right kavanos. The building itself is a mitzvah. Perhaps because the Parsha begins, v'yikchuli truma, that not only the actual dwelling and service has to be lishma, the building has to be lishma, which means that it's critical how it's built. Therefore, the Parsha ends, even the tools that are needed to build the Mishkan also have to be nechaysha. So I want to wish everyone Agun Chodesh and wonderful Shabbos. Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, Chodesh Adar, Nishanichnas Adar, Marbim B'Simcha. Wishing everyone a beautiful Shabbos. Kol Tov.